Do you want to learn effective ways to build relationships, generate sales, and grow your business from successful entrepreneurs, startups, and CEOs without listening to a long interview? If so, you've come to the right place. Gresham Harkless values your time and is ready to share with you precisely the information you're in search of. This is the I Am CEO podcast.
Hello. This is Gresh from the IAM419 podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Lindsey Nickel of Lovely Day Strategies. Lindsey, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Super excited to have you on. And what I wanted to do was just read a little bit more about Lindsey so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And Lindsey is the go-to marketing and business strategist for wedding planners who want to be fully booked with wonderful clients. She provides doable, focused action steps based on her many years as a wedding planner. Lindsey's work has been featured on CBNation.co, Style Me Pretty, Brides, the Not Yours Truly book, and more. She has two businesses, Lovely Day Strategies and Lovely Day Events. Lindsey, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Let's do it. So to kick everything off, I wanted to hear a little bit more about what I call your CEO story and what led you to start your business.
Okay. So my story is kind of twofold since I have the two businesses. So when I first started Lovely Day Events, which is my wedding planning business, I lived in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And this was like when I started the business 10 years ago. And if you remember, 10 years ago, the economy was not in a great place. So It was not in a great place. I was kind of transitioning from like ski bum to what am I going to do next, because I don't like the cold that much, as it turns out. And I was applying for all these jobs, like nonprofit stuff, and other people were getting them who had like master's degrees and tons of experience because the economy was just in such rough shape back then. But I had this amazing mentor, and I remember it was outside of this place we both got our haircut, and she was showing me her puppy that she just got. And she was like, how did it go with that job that I had just applied for? And I was like, I didn't get it. And I was feeling pretty crummy. And she's like, why don't you just start your own business? You've been talking about it. Why don't you just do it? So that, in a very short abbreviated version, is how it started. And I just started like picking up contract jobs, like strung them all together. And I think it was only like, so back then it was like nonprofits. I did all kinds of events. It wasn't just weddings. And in the second year, I think it was, is when I hired my first like contract wedding planner. Cause I was like, this is taking up a lot of time. Yeah. So I don't want to be doing this every weekend, but maybe somebody else can help me out. So that's kind of how the wedding started. And then 5 years ago, we basically suddenly moved after being married only like 6 weeks. My husband had an opportunity to open his own business in Napa, which is where we live now. Nice. And I was like, okay, now I need to expand. So we expanded. And then a couple years ago, I realized like I've been doing these weddings and wedding planning, and people were starting to like ask me for advice. I was like, I can just like make another business of this, of helping wedding planners to figure out the business end, because usually there's super creative wedding planners and stylists and things like that, but the whole business piece of like having a marketing plan and having a bookkeeper and having a business plan and goals is just like not always coming naturally. Yeah. So that is how Lovely Day Strategy came to be.
Nice. I definitely appreciate that, because you definitely achieved mastery of like what it is that you were doing as a wedding planner. And then you had so many people asking you exactly how you did it. And it's funny when you were mentioning that, I don't know if you've ever heard of the E-myth, but that's originally what was coming to my head, where a lot of times when people start businesses, they're really good at something, but they decide to start a business, but they don't realize that there's so many other aspects of running a business. And it's not just the creative things, you love to do. And there's, accounting, there's, planning out things, there's marketing, there's getting clients, there's making sure the clients pay. There's so many things that are involved that we sometimes forget.
Totally. Like I would say at the end of the year when I like evaluate all of my numbers, and so every day I keep track of like how long I do things. So literally I have a timer right now that's running that's saying like, okay, you went on this podcast, it took this long, and like the next day you start the timer. So at the end of the year, I can see like how much time I spent in like each category of like marketing, bookkeeping, finance. And in my wedding planning business, I would say when that was like full on my only thing, I would spend only about 25 to 33, like a third of the time actually planning weddings. The equal to that, about 25 to 30% was marketing, just like getting my name out there, meeting people, like talking to people who maybe needed a wedding, maybe they were looking for a wedding planner, but maybe I was going to be their wedding planner, maybe I wasn't. So I think people are really surprised. Like one of my pieces of advice, if someone's like, I want to be a wedding planner, like I'm going to start my own wedding planning business, or maybe they're going to like break off from whoever they work for. Like think about, do you love planning weddings, or do you love being a wedding florist, or do you love whatever that wedding skill is you have? If so, like go find an amazing boss to work for, and that will be your job all the time. Because when you own the business, you're doing exactly what you just said, like 25% doing that, 25% marketing, then you have managing people, finances, like everything. So it's funny how things evolve like that.
Yeah, it is funny how that works. And I appreciate you bringing light to that, because I hear that a lot too, especially with a lot of creatives, like, around the graphic design and things like that. It's like, I really love making logos or making flyers. So I want to start my own business. And you realize like, okay, well, I have to go get clients. Okay, that's one thing. So I'm not going to be doing the logos because I don't have any clients to do the logo. Then I have to get paid. And then, just all these things you don't think about, that make up running a business.
Yeah, totally. It's, I think, surprising for a lot of people. And then one part that I kind of found intimidating when I had like a team was like, I had to like get all these people paid. Like I have to bring in the business to pay all of these people who are counting on this paycheck. So I think that, at least for me, I was like, that's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's something people don't think about either.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier when you're dependent on it, but when you have a team that also have families and stuff that are dependent upon it, it's a different level of responsibility for sure. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I know you touched on it a little bit. Can you take us a little bit more through your business? Tell us how you're serving the clients you're working with.
Yeah, so with Lovely Day Strategy, I sell one-to-one coaching. So that's basically working directly with me, and I do it in usually 1 hour blocks. I recommend people do it once a month so you can have your coaching. And then after the coaching, usually I like to have people end with like doable, actionable, like things that they can accomplish, next steps that they can do like for the next 4 weeks, let's say. And then the next month they have their next session where it's like, okay, what did you do? How did it go? Okay, let's tweak that. Or like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? So that's the main thing that I'm focused on at the moment. And then I also sell one-to-one, or sell courses online, sorry. So we'll be rolling out one again. It's called Wedding Sales Simplified in 8 Steps. So it really breaks down, because I feel like it's so easy to overthink like every little piece. And if you really just simplify things, it's much easier and faster to get clients and attract clients and get them to pay your prices, rather than saying like, oh, I found someone on Craigslist that'll do it for half that. Well, there's a reason it's half the price and they're advertising on Craigslist. So we're going to be selling that course again, I think, at the end of the year, and then rolling out some more robust courses next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it, because a lot of times, you get what you pay for. But again, with somebody that doesn't know exactly like how to even begin with event planning, it's great to have kind of those cheat sheets, for maybe lack of a better term, whether it be a course or it be a coaching call, to kind of tap into your expertise so that you kind of get a leg up on starting your own business. Yeah,
totally. And we have a blog too. And I even have a blog post. It's one of the first ones I did, was like the 3 things to know for total newbies or something like that. Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of people, when they're exploring, what do I want to do? Or we hear a lot of times people either say, I got married and I had a lot of fun planning my own wedding, and now I think I want to be a wedding planner. And those are like 2 totally different things. Being your own client and being someone else's client are totally different. And so that's like one camp of people that we see like kind of inquiring about jobs or whatever. And then the other camp we see are people who have like just graduated college. Mm-hmm. I've been out of college for a while, but it seems like they offer degrees, not just in hospitality now, but in like specifically event planning and event management. Yeah. So those people are always really eager. And my advice to them is always like, get experience. Like it's much more than what you see in the classroom. Even if you're like shadowing people, get experience like either as an intern or as an assistant, or go work for a catering company, because at a catering company, you can do like multiple events with them and really be in the trenches and see what is happening like actually behind those closed doors. Yeah. When they're like cooking the food and all the vendors are back there like, oh my gosh, we have 100 things going on.
Exactly. No, that makes perfect sense. And that might be, that brings me to what might be your answer, but definitely let me know. I was going to ask you for your secret sauce, like the thing that you feel kind of distinguishes you and sets you apart and makes you unique.
Yeah, so I would say definitely like experience. Since I've been doing this for 10 years, I someday, this is like on my someday bucket list, I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be all of the crazy things that happen at people's weddings.
Oh, that would be fun. You should do a movie.
I mean, I hope I can pick up this movie. That'd be amazing. It's just like whenever I'm at a party or something, people are like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a wedding planner. And they'll say like, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened? I'm like, where do I even begin? So many ridiculous things. Like this one, someone had just brought up that I forgot about. Like, tell us again about the time like you had to ride the gondola in the lightning storm. So like long story short, the power went out at the venue. It was the top of the power didn't go out. Sorry. We were at the top of a ski resort, and the gondola, people up there, and they take people back down. It's like the only way to get up and down, but the lightning storm was coming in. So we had to end the event like 30 minutes early and evacuate everybody. And I was like one of the last people down and just riding down in the gondola, pitch black with like lightning going off everywhere. I was like, oh my God, what happens if the gondola car gets hit by lightning? Nobody knows I'm here.
Right. That's super scary. Well, no, that's you put that in the reasons why you may not want to do that when you're a wedding event planner, so for sure. Yeah,
exactly.
That would be a blog post idea. So, well, also, I appreciate you sharing that with us. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. And this might be an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
I would say kind of like my morning routine. So I really am a creature of habit, which I think a lot of people are. And it really just helps for like consistency in each day. So in the morning, I'm like kind of leisurely getting up, but I read this online somewhere, but I always drink like 2 big glasses of water in the morning. And I used to put lemon in it. I know sometimes people do that, or they'll do smoothies or tea or just like whatever to get like hydrated from the night before from sleeping. And that really seems to be a great way to start the day. And then food. I know it's so cliche how people say like breakfast is the most important meal, but I just feel like the day goes by so fast. It's so important to start with a really good breakfast or eat something and then kind of start into the day.
I appreciate that. And I wanted to ask you for now what I call a CEO nugget. And this is a word of wisdom or a piece of advice. Or if you can hop into a time machine, what would you tell your younger business self?
Okay, this is a good question. So I would tell my younger business self like 10 years ago, don't overthink things. It's so easy to like research. And if you're like type A, planning minded, like I am, I just want to like plan out everything and like have a checklist for everything. And then I want to like make the website and then tweak the website and then like adjust the wording on my Instagram bio. And it's so easy to just like stay on that cycle of like, oh, just a little bit more. Let me just do this. Or I'm going to think about this for like 5 days before I like hit publish, or I'm going to like review these numbers one more time, but just don't overthink things. Just go for it. It's like that phrase, like done is better than perfect. And now I've found that since I've been doing this for a long time, like just putting stuff out there is like already 1,000 times ahead of most people who are just like thinking about it or saying someday. And especially these days, like social media, everything has such a short lifespan. Like even if there's a typo in something, or it's not like the greatest picture of you that day, like honestly, it will probably be like lost in the internet shuffle after like 24 hours. Obviously you can repurpose that content, but like, don't overthink it. Just put it out there, see how it goes, and then adjust it.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes we can beat ourselves up when it may not be $1 million, photo or whatever, but it actually is really, really good. But we beat ourselves up so much because we had a vision of it being that $1 million wedding, but still it's really, really good. And we still don't put it out. So definitely let's not beat ourselves up and definitely, put it out, because done is better than perfect, as you said. So I appreciate that.
Sure.
So now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So Lindsey, what does being a CEO mean to you?
To me, being a CEO is all about being a leader. And I think anybody who's, most of us have worked for other people, and a lot of CEOs are now CEOs themselves. It's really being a leader and being able to manage your team. And if you're in the wedding industry and if you're a wedding planner, you're not just managing like your specific employees or contractors, but it's like the whole vendor team you work with. And you have to be a leader to them. Like, you can't be a bossy pants to them. A lot of wedding planners get a bad rap for being like not so nice or in your face or just super bossy. Or too high energy. So really being a leader to like inspire people to work harder and rallying them and keeping everybody on the same page and keeping everybody motivated and just like making it an enjoyable work experience all around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you honed in on that leadership word, because I think a lot of times when you are the leader, you also are empowering the people that are around you and the people that are on the team. So sometimes, like you said, a lot of times some of the best leaders are actually not the best at their craft. Sometimes they can hire other people and they're comfortable in their skin, so to speak, that they can bring those people on that do the floral arrangement better, or maybe, have the agenda perfectly planned out, but they understand and identify those strengths and they bring all those people together, which really makes them special. So I appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that people also like learn out over time to like delegate. So part of being a really good CEO and leader is realizing like, okay, bookkeeping is really time consuming. Personally, I don't like bookkeeping. So that was like one of the first things that I hired like a professional bookkeeper and just like took it off my plate, freed up that time. So I think another good thing for a leader, like I said, is like figure out what you can delegate and what your strengths are so that you can really focus on like leading your team and like kind of being, I guess, the ringleader of the circus, like keeping everybody kind of in touch and moving like the vision forward, but building your team so that everybody can be successful.
Absolutely. Ringleader of the circus. I like that visual. So, Lindsey, I truly appreciate your time. What I want to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And then, of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you're working on.
So that's really it. I know we're going into like the fall and holidays, so I just want to make sure everybody, takes time to take care of themselves, because that's something I think a lot of times CEOs, like, we're all into like hustling and go. So now that fall's here, just take time to like enjoy and whatever you like to do, yoga, eat out, sleep, make sure you have time to do that. And then the best ways to find us are on Instagram. I know all you wedding people love Instagram, so we're at Lovely Day Strategy for the coaching business, and at Lovely Day Events XO for all things wedding planning and beautiful wedding inspiration. And then we have a freebie for people, and it's a free online course. It's a mini course. It's called How to Stand Out in a Flooded Wedding Planner Market, and you can find it at lovelydaystrategy.com/stand-out-course. So standout course. And I hope you guys like it. So far people are really liking it, because one of the things I hear a lot is like, there's so many wedding planners in my market. Like, I've been doing this for so long. How do I like stand out from all these like new people and all that stuff? So that's why we created that.
Nice. Well, I definitely appreciate that, for helping people tap into their own secret sauce and be able to tell people exactly what their secret sauce is, especially, is even almost more important. But we will make sure to have all those links in the show notes as well. But Lindsey, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thank you for listening to the I Am CEO podcast, powered by Blue 16 Media. Tune in next time and visit us at IAM419.co. I Am CEO is not just a phrase, it's a community. Be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating. Grab CEO gear at www.ceogear.co. This has been the I Am CEO podcast with Gresham Harkless. Thank you for listening.